Good morning. Today we are continuing our work with angles. We are doing CO53. This time, instead of complementary and supplementary angles, we are going to be identifying vertical and corresponding angles. So it gets a little more complicated. We're not just looking at the 90 degrees and 180 degrees. There's a little bit more that goes with this. For our vertical angles, that definition for vertical angle is angles opposite each other at a common vertex. Vertical angles are congruent. So, who remembers what a vertex is? We learned this at the beginning of the unit. What is the vertex of the angle? Lila.
It's just the little middle where you line it up with the...
Yeah, it's where the two sides meet. That point where the two sides meet is the vertex. So, vertical angles share that common vertex, that point where the angle sides meet. Vertical angles are congruent. What does it mean to be congruent? Any guesses? What does it mean if two angles are congruent? What's your guess? Yeah, they have the same degrees. They are equal. If they are congruent, they have the same measurement. They are equal. So Emma, you need your head up and listening what we're doing, so we're hearing this, okay? So, vertical angles share that common vertex, that point where the angles meet. They share that. And they are congruent, so that means they are the same measurement. They are opposite of each other, not next to. Remember I said the next to is adjacent. They're not adjacent, they are opposite, so they're on opposite sides. So if we look at lines like that, the vertex where the angle sides meet is right here. I don't like me using the blue. So right in the middle is the vertex. Opposite of each other. So we would have one angle here. Its opposite is flipped on the other side. They are congruent, so that's why I put just one line. Should both of them have one line, that's showing that they are the same measure. So if you don't put the measurement in, if you see that same one arc, and you see that same one arc on another angle, it means it's the same measurement. So over here, these two angles are opposite of each other, going across, flipping across, so they share that vertex and they're opposite. They are congruent. Okay, so those vertical angles are the ones that are opposite, not adjacent. They are not next to each other, they are opposite, and they share the same measurement. So we could do it, if we were to put angle measurements in here, if I said this is 40 degrees, what would this measurement have to be? Adeline? 40 degrees. It is the same measurement. So if this is 40 degrees and we have a straight line here, what does this measurement have to be? Lila? How did you know it was 140 degrees, Lila?
Because it would be supplementary angle.
Yes. It is a straight line, so we know it's going to be 180 altogether. We know one angle is 40 degrees, the other angle has to be 140 degrees. One more angle left. What is it going to be? Liam?
140.
How do you know it's 140 degrees, Liam? Yeah, it's the opposite. It's a vertical angle. So it's going to be the same measurement. You could also say, well, it's supplementary. Look at these straight lines. So we know 140 plus 40, 140 plus that 40 is going to equal 180 degrees. So there were two different ways that we knew that measurement was 140 degrees. Because it's a vertical angle and it's a supplementary angle. So this is important for today's lesson, to be able to figure out those missing angle measurements using what we know about complementary and supplementary angles, using what we now know about vertical angles. So let's look down at our work. So I'm going to scroll up. So they are giving us one angle measurement. 150 degrees. Who thinks they can fill in an angle measurement on here? Who wants to come up and give it a try? Aiden, fill in one angle measurement. Oops. Yes. How did you know? We're going to put the little degree symbol there. How did you know that would be 150 degrees, Aiden? Because it's opposite of the other 150 degrees. It is a vertical angle. So those vertical angles we can fill in. Who would like to fill in another angle measurement? Adeline. How did you know that was 30 degrees, Adeline?
150 plus 30 is 180.
150 plus 30 is 180. It is a supplementary angle. Who can fill in our last angle measurement? Lila. How did you know that one was 30 degrees, Lila? It's opposite of the other 30 degrees. It's a vertical angle. Lila could have also said, well, it's supplementary with the 150 degrees. So there were two ways to be able to fill in that last measurement. So you're going to do the same with these two. When we get to this last one, it's actually two problems. So you're going to imagine there's this one, fill in your angles, and then there's this one, fill in your angles. So it's like you have three problems to work on. The one is just sharing a line. Okay? So you have 1, 2, 3 vertical angle problems to fill in. But before we do that, let's look right below that. We have a second part to our lesson. Corresponding angles with parallel lines. So, our definition for that is angles in the same location at a different vertex. When lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent. So again, let's break down those vocab words. What is the vertex? Lila? The place where both lines of the angle meet. So that's our vertex. What does it mean to be parallel? James? Not that they're not touching, because I could have a line like this and a line like that. They don't touch. But they will touch if I continue them on. So parallel lines mean two lines that will never touch. They are going to keep going on and on and on in both directions, and they're never going to intersect. They're never going to cross each other. So parallel lines are straight lines that will never cross. What does it mean to be congruent? I should see every hand up. We just talked about it. What does it mean to be congruent? Oh goodness, should I just randomly pick on someone? We just talked about it with the vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent. What does it mean to be corresponding angles are congruent? Aaron? We know with those vertical angles, if they are congruent, they are the what measurement? Help them out, Hudson C. Vertical angles are congruent. So those vertical angles are what measurement? Help them out, Maddie. The same measurement. So those vertical angles are congruent, so they are the same measurement. Corresponding angles are congruent, so they are what, Edda? We just said it. Vertical angles are what, Maddie? Because they are the same measurement. So corresponding angles are congruent, so they are what, Edda? The same measurement. Corresponding angles are congruent, so they are what, Hudson? The same measurement. Nolan, what are corresponding angles? The same measurement. Kylie, what are corresponding angles? The same measurement. We need to really remember what congruent means. These new terms that we're using, we're going to see over and over again. So that's why I keep repeating it over and over again. It's really important that we are remembering. Congruent angles means they're the same measurement. Let's look at what these corresponding angles with parallel lines would look like. So, if I have two lines, I'm drawing it by hand, so I'm not drawing it precise. So, we're going to say with these marks, it means that they're parallel. Because I'm drawing it by hand, it doesn't quite look parallel because I'm a little sloppy. It's hard with this marker. But when I put these two lines on there, I know that they are parallel lines. Then I'm going to have an intersecting line. Okay? So when we're talking about those corresponding angles with parallel lines, you will see two parallel lines with a line intersecting both of them. So, this angle right here is to the right of our intersecting line and above the parallel line. So its corresponding angle down on this parallel line is going to be to the right of that intersecting line and above the parallel line. That's how we know which one it matches up with. If I were to take this line and put it directly on top of this line, my corresponding angles will match up. So if it's to the right and above, it corresponds with to the right and above. So just picture taking that top line and putting it on the bottom line, and they're going to match. So let's look at another one. I could have parallel lines that go this way. And my intersecting line like this. If this is the angle that I'm looking at, which one is its corresponding angle? Do you think you know, Sophie? Do you think you know, Lila? Come on up. Which one would be its corresponding angle? Yes, that corresponding angle, it's above that parallel, to that left of that parallel line, and below the intersecting line. So if we were to take this parallel line and put it on top of this one, it matches up. So they are corresponding, so that means they are congruent, which means what? Sarah? If they are congruent, they are what? The same measurement. So if we look down below, using what we know about all of these angles that we've talked about, write in each unmarked angle's measurement. So every single angle we can fill in. Let's look at that. We see that this one is 110 degrees. Who can fill in one of our measurements? James, come on up. How did you know that one's 70 degrees, James?
180 minus 110 plus 20.
They're supplementary angles because this is a straight line right here. So we know 110 is supplementary with 70. What other angle can we fill in? Adeline, come on up. How did you know that's 70 degrees, Adeline? It's its corresponding angle. If we took this top section and we placed it over our bottom section, they match up. They are in the same location. They're corresponding, so they're congruent, so they are the same measurement. Who can fill in another measure? Bennett. There are two ways we know that that is 110 degrees. It is supplementary with that 70 degrees, and it is corresponding with that 110 degrees. What else can we fill in? Aiden. Why would that be at 70 degrees, Aiden? Is that the same location? It is not. This angle corresponds with this angle. Because if we picked this up and we put it here, so think about what we learned about vertical angles, Aiden. That one's 110. What's its vertical angle? Right here. So it's going to be the same measurement with that. So vertical angles are across from each other. You can flip them over. And we know it's supplementary. 110 plus 70 is supplementary. Who can fill in that last angle measurement? Kylie. Tell me this one. So we could do supplementary or vertical. Yep. So supplementary angle to that 110 would be 70. I'm just making it a little bit easier to read. And then that vertical angle, opposite angles are congruent. We have two left on top. Who could fill one of those in? Emma. Now, there are 3 different ways Emma can know that that is 70 degrees. One is it is a vertical angle to the other 70 degrees. They share that vertex and they're opposite. Another way is it is supplementary with that 110 degrees. And a third way is it is corresponding with the 70 degrees down here. They are at the same location if we were to put it right on top of each other. One last angle. Who has not had a chance up at the board that can fill in our last angle? I know Adeline's been up to the board. Kylie's been up to the board. Who hasn't been up to the board that can be brave and fill in our last angle measurement? Or I'm going to randomly pick on someone. Charlie, what is our last angle going to be? How did you know it was going to be 110, Charlie? Because it is a vertical angle with the other 110. They share the vertex and they are opposite. Another way to know is the supplementary angle with our 70 degrees. And a third way is it is corresponding with the 110 down below. So you need to do that same thing with both of these. Fill in every single angle using supplementary angles, using vertical angles, using corresponding angles. Fill them all in. Any questions on today's assignment? If you finish with today's assignment before it is time to go, you are going to work on your math packet, you're going to work on the Khan Academy. We all have that new page we stapled onto that math packet, so be working on those. If you are watching this at home, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.